Hi, this is Uncle Bud speaking to you from Thousand Palms, California. And I am trying, this is an experiment with giving a little family history. There is much to tell, but this little session is just an experiment. So, first of all I'm going to speak about today are different cemeteries that concern our family. I have written those down, and you can, the Sagertown Cemetery up on Brookhauser Hill, the Venango Cemetery, and in Ashtabula, Ohio, the Chestnut Hill Cemetery, and in Harbor Creek, Pennsylvania, Hoag Cemetery. These are ones that I'm trying to, just going to give today a brief summary because David, Danny, and Kevin have visited these with me except for Ashtabula and Harbor Creek. In the Sagertown Cemetery, you'll find Jesse and Percy Lasher, which is great, your great-great-grandparents, and then that whole Lasher family is buried under one plot with 8 graves. Also, right across the street from the Lasher Cemetery, you will find the tombstone for Louis Sumerhalter and Catherine Lenhart. And Catherine Lenhart was Shorty Lasher's grandmother. And that was a second marriage. She was a Lenhart, she married a Lenhart, and then he died, and that's when she married Louis Sumerhalter, who was an aide-de-camp to Napoleon. Also in that cemetery, you will find hunters and plenty of Lenharts. In the Venango Cemetery, for us, it goes back to John Lasher and Mary Magdalene Pfeiffer. And they were our Lasher ancestors from the Venango area. And John Lasher is the relative who changed the name from Lesher to Lasher. And that was his contribution to our family. And he married Mary Magdalene Pfeiffer. And through the Pfeiffers, then we are eligible for Sons of the American Revolution and also other relatives, but that was the route I chose to go. And so that relative, George Johann Pfeiffer, and his wife are buried in the Pfeiffertown Cemetery, which is outside of Meadville, Pennsylvania. And Kevin knows where that is because we went there. What you don't know mostly is about the Hoag, H-O-A-G, Hoag Cemetery at Harbor Creek, Pennsylvania. It's out in the country near a place called Clark's Corners, but you can find it on your GPS. And there is buried John Wesley Clark, who was Jesse Clark's grandfather. So that was my own great-grandfather, John Wesley Clark, and he is buried with his third wife, Susanna. Now, I don't know where the first 2 wives are buried, but his is the story that we need to know because since he was a Clark and Grandma Lasher was Jessie Eldora Clark Lasher. And good old John Wesley was a traveling minister and starting churches. So he was on his horseback riding around the country, setting up new churches. Well, he still had time to get home and has 22 children. And of those 22 children, Willis Clark is Jesse Clark's father. So that was my own grandfather, whom, of course, I never saw. He died in 1889. So mother was 9 months old at that time. So that left her with all of these 21 aunts and uncles. And so many of those, and for my knowledge, I am only familiar with Aunt Dora, whose little black high chair is at Jim Lasher's house, and also Marvin Clark. Those were younger brothers, and I think Willis was about maybe third from the bottom of those 22 children. But that was 3 wives, not 1 wife, so don't get too concerned with him for having 22 kids with 1 wife. But that leaves cousins and uncles and aunts by the dozens. And I do not know where those people ever ended up. Of course, they're long gone, but they were Grandma's Lasher's own aunts and uncles on her father's side. Willis Clark was her father. And in that green box of the chest, if you find any of the letters with beautiful, beautiful handwriting, that was done by Willis Clark, my mother's father. Now, Chestnut Hill Cemetery in Ashtabula, you will find the Clarks and a lot of Thorpes and Sinclairs and Redheads. The Redheads family are from Grandpa James Thorpe's wife, Jessie Redhead. And so those are from her side of the family. They all came to Ohio in the 1850s. And that is where you will find those Redheads. Now, I think that is the basic for cemeteries, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. And now, questions, I'll be glad to answer any that you send to me. Thank you so much. This is my first session. Bye-bye.